Hi, I'm Amanda of Inspiring Inkin. Welcome to the next in a series of videos about scrapbooking and what do I need to get started. So today we're going to be talking about photographs, and arguably photographs are the reason we scrapbook. We want to preserve those memories. We want to be able to share information about the pictures that we put in a scrapbook. So let's talk about photos in its entirety, really, as a topic. My guess is you have a huge number of photos, but they're probably in a lot of different places. Most people now have phones that are capable of taking photographs. Some people have cameras with cards that they can record digitally. Some people will have actual, real photos, and they could be anywhere in your house, under the bed, in the spare room cupboard, in the loft. And chances are those photos are kept in paper wallets or they're in albums possibly. But my guess is you have photos in lots of different places. So I'm going to talk about photos now and give you a few hints and tips about what you can do with your photos before you start scrapbooking, because honestly, you will thank me later if you get your photos into kind of some semblance of order in the first instance. So your first mission is to corral the photographs. Now, if you have them in multiple places, so you have digital photos and physical photos, obviously you're going to need different storage for the two things. So I'm going to start out with physical, actual real photos first, and then talk about digital. So if you have printed photos that are already in albums and are safe and secure, and you know where they are, I would leave them be. Now, there is a slight concern with albums, depending on how old they are. There are some albums that have glue, and they traditionally had lots of lines of glue, and you stuck the photos on and you put a cello over the top. Now, if you've got albums like that, just check on the health of your photographs. Check that they're not discoloring and that they look okay. If they look okay, leave them. If they don't, you probably need to remove them from the albums. Sometimes if they're stuck really fast, sometimes sort of a bit of warm heat from a very, very gentle hairdryer would work. Just obviously test that. But the best thing for them to be is kept safely in something that is acid and lignin free. Now, if you haven't watched all of my videos, you might not know those terms. Acid is found in a huge number of products, and it can actually eat into your photographs. And lignin is a product that's found in paper products, and again, can cause damage. So, and it will have an effect on your photos. Bear in mind, photos are complex chemical things in order for them to actually be printed. So we need to keep them safely. So once you've figured out whether or not the albums are okay, then think about what you're going to do if you've got loose photos or photos in albums like this. Now, I use these. This is an archival envelope, basically. An archival basically means that it's safe. There's no acid and there's no lignin in this envelope. And you put your photos inside, and then on the back, you've actually got information that you can put your dates and so on. And then I keep them stacked in an archival box. Now, if you want some storage like this, just Google it. It depends where you are in the world. You'll be able to find different things, and just make sure it's suitable for archival and it says acid and lignin free. That way you can look after all of your photos. And they do also have things like this for those of you with negatives. And there is storage for slides as well. It was quite a fashionable thing a few years ago. And I've actually got slides from two international trips I took in the 90s. So yeah, slides as well. That's really good. So once you've gathered them, it's a really good idea to sort them and organize them. And when you're doing your first gathering, probably the easiest way to do it is to do it by year, because you can probably figure out when trips were, or the ages of the children or so on. So just kind of gather it in year. So that's your physical photos. What about all the photos on your phone, on your computer? Digital photos are obviously increasing by the second, by the moment. But when was the last time you actually looked at them? We take hundreds, thousands of photos, and generally we take the photos and then we don't look at them. And we certainly don't tidy them up or rationalize them. So my first plea is, as you're taking photos, just delete the ones that aren't any good right at the very beginning. Then figure out where your digital photos are. Now, if you are organized, you will have them saved somewhere. And you may even have them saved on your computer or on a hard drive. Please, please, please back them up. And if you can back them up in 2 places, that's even better. And I know that's going to sound a little bit crazy. But if you've got them on your computer, a great place to get them backed up is into the cloud. Because if something happens to your computer, the backup is somewhere else. Or a backup on a hard drive in a fireproof safe. So just think about, where are those precious memories being stored? And then the next thing that you need to figure out is, how are you actually going to corral them in the same way that you did with your physical photos? You will have years and years and years worth of photos. Now, the easiest way to organize them is the same way that you organize your physical photos, into kind of year blocks. But I'm just checking my notes. But if you can, you might be able to organize them in folders in your photo software under year, and then potentially even split it out a little bit more for specific holidays or events, that kind of thing. And if you get into the habit of, when you're downloading your photos, to put them in those albums, or that sort of pattern of albums, it will save you a lot of time in the future when you're looking for specific things to print for your scrapbooks. Now, as you're sorting these digital photos, you need to get rid of the rubbish. And by that, I mean the duplicate photos of the same group of people doing the same thing at the same event that you might have 6 photos of. And I say this with a smile on my face because I'm the same. I take the same photo from lots of different angles just to try and make sure I get one where everybody is smiling and looking at me and haven't got their eyes shut. But we don't delete them as we're taking the photo, or we just save them all and put them onto our computer. So as you are sorting them into their respective folders, do go through and delete things. Now, don't get too delete happy. My guess is, because you're watching this video, you are wanting to be a scrapbooker, wanting to preserve your memories, and chances are you are the photographer. And my guess is that there aren't many photos of you. And that's sad, because you need to have yourself scrapbooked too. So always be very careful about deleting photos of yourself, because chances are there aren't that many of them. And, you know, a top tip is make sure when you're at an event and you're taking photos and capturing all those memories, you take the time to get somebody to take your photo at that event as well. Sorting out your photos, your digital photos particularly, is a mammoth job. Most recently, when I went to my photo album, I have 36,000 photographs. Now, in my defense, there are a lot of photos in there of cards and scrapbook pages and 3D projects and things I've made. But there are a lot of family photos as well. So do see if there is anything that your photo system can help you with. So my photo system can actually find duplicates, and it can actually find photos that are exactly the same. And for whatever reason, maybe I've downloaded something twice, or I've got duplicates of photos that are on my husband's phone and on my phone, and so on. So do try and use any kind of software hints and tricks and tips to reduce the numbers of photos. But just set yourself aside a little bit of time every month just to go through your photos and make sure they're downloaded somewhere safe, they are rationalized, and you start to work your way back through the history of your photos. Now, digital photos are all well and good, but the reality is that you need actual photos to put on your scrapbook. So when you are actually getting to the point of scrapbooking, you need to make sure you get your photos printed. Now, if you can, think about the size of album or mini album that you're going to be working on, so you know what sizes of photos that you need. I often will print 2 photos. So sometimes I'll print a square and a rectangle. So portrait or landscape, depending on how the photo is, but also a square. And that will generally give me the potential of actually being able to use the right photo or the right size of photo for whatever layout that I'm using. As you go through the rest of this series of videos, you will hear other hints and tips about photos. But they are absolutely the star of the show, along with the memories that you capture to go alongside them. So please take care of your physical photos, keeping them stored well. Please keep your digital photos backed up and make sure you take plenty of pictures of you as well as everyone else. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do check out the rest of the videos in this series. I'll make sure all the links are in the description box below. Take care. Goodbye.